Closed captioning for Justice and Law Weekly is provided in part by the Clifford Law Offices in support of quality public television for the Chicago area.
I'm Tim Eaton, President of the Chicago Bar Association. Welcome to the Chicago Bar Association's Justice and Law Weekly. Our population is aging and becoming more vulnerable. What can we do to protect ourselves as we age or help our elderly loved ones? Joining me to discuss this important issue is Judge Patricia Banks, presiding judge of the newly created Elder Law and Miscellaneous Remedies Division of the Cook County Circuit Court. She was elected to the bench in 1994 and has also served in the Domestic Relations and Law Divisions of the court. We also welcome Kerry Peck, who is managing partner of the law firm Peck Bloom LLC. His practice concentrates in elder law, probate, litigation, and estate planning matters. He has lectured widely on matters relating to the elderly. In 2005, Mr. Peck was named a delegate to the White House Conference on Aging. Welcome, Judge Banks. Kerry.
Thank you for having me.
Judge Banks,
Pleasure being here.
Let's start with you first of all. Tell us a little bit about the Elder Law Division. What is it? When did it start?
Okay, the Elder Law Division is a division for older adults. Older adults being characterized as persons over the age of 60 and over. The Elder Law and Miscellaneous Division was created by Chief Judge Evans, who's the Chief Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County. And he established this division in December 2010. The purpose being to allow older adults to gain better access to the courts. Because of the fact that we have more and more people, the baby boomers, more and more baby boomers are coming into our court system with aging issues. We have audio issues, visual issues, problems in terms of confusion connected with medications. Because of that, it becomes a little difficult sometimes, and words are generally small, the print is small, and this whole Elder Law and Miscellaneous Remedies Division is designed and created to, we developed a holistic approach to the treatment of older adults in the Circuit Court of Cook County. That's to say, we want to make sure that when older adults come into the Circuit Court, that they are able to navigate the system. If there's information that they're not understanding or they need more information, they're able to come to what is called our Elder Justice Center, which is part of the Elder Law Division, and get information, get the proper information, and be able to, again, I would say have a level playing field. There are so many people, it's 5.2 million people in Cook County. 800,000 of those individuals are over the age of 60, and therefore there's a market, there's a population that's using our courts, and we're trying to accommodate them.
What type of issues do they come into the court for?
They would come into the court on issues having to do with abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. That's the big picture.
Sure.
But you also have issues having to do with, I would say, lapses based on the fact that some of them might be impaired, again, cognitive impairments. Because of their impairments, they may be mild and may be severe, but sometimes because of that, there are contract disputes, there are issues relating to problems with real estate. There may be issues related to undue influence and duress. So we have older adults going into the landlord-tenant courts, having problems with abuse of power of attorneys. That's big. And we also have issues having to do with domestic violence. Older adults are the victims of domestic violence, and of course, we want to accommodate them by assisting them with victims advocates in order to make sure that it's a good, productive experience when they come into our court system.
Well, it sounds like it's really needed. Are these individuals generally represented by lawyers?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I suspect, and we're beginning to see more of this, of course, the state's attorney will represent these individuals if, in fact, they're over in the criminal court. We also have a lot of pro bono attorneys and volunteers to represent older adults if they're over in domestic violence court. But we do have a number of pro seers, people who represent themselves, who are self-neglected or are victims of neglect, and private attorneys or legal aid lawyers will represent those.
Carrie, I know you concentrate your practice in elder law. What has been your experience with this new division? Has it been helpful, do you believe, to the people that, some of the people you represent and others who are not represented by lawyers?
Well, I think the concept is a great one. I think that, you know, there's been some major changes in Illinois law as recently as July of this year, in which the Illinois Department of Aging now renders services to individuals. Used to be, you had to be 60 years of age to get services from the Illinois Department of Aging. As of July 22nd of this year, that age dropped all the way from 60 down to 18. And why? Because, you know, people over the age of 18 as well as over the age of 60 may be subject to exploitation. Financial exploitation, emotional exploitation, physical abuse, things of that nature. So, you know, the elder law court is really, you know, duly situated, appropriately situated to help older adults particularly deal with the complex issues that they face when they get embroiled into the legal system, particularly, again, in the context of financial exploitation. If an older adult is financially exploited by a lottery scheme or by a neighbor who has persuaded an individual to pay them excessive sums for shoveling their driveway, cutting their lawn, things of that nature, once they get embroiled in the system, if it's a criminal case, as the judge pointed out, state's attorney will get involved. If it's a civil case, depending on you know, where it falls in the context of abuse and neglect, it may go to the elder law court. And certainly the creation of the Justice Center is a terrific device to help older adults learn their way through a very complex system. As you know, Tim, we practice law, and the judge participates in the judiciary in what's renowned to be the largest unified system in the country. And so when someone gets embroiled in a legal matter in Cook County, they really need a guide dog, if you will, or a, you know, someone along the way to give them some insight. And I think that the Elder Justice Center can, you know, shine some light on the complexities of the situation.
We know it's even.
If I may just jump in for a second.
Go ahead, please.
Because when we're talking about the Elder Law and Miscellaneous Remedies Division, you need to understand that there are three components of the division.
Oh, what are
One
those?
would be the Elder Protection Courts. The other would be the Cook County Elder Justice Center, which is free to older adults who are residents of Cook County. And then we have a community outreach program that's also connected with the division. And this is one of the things that I do on a regular basis, and other people who have volunteered, members of the task force, go out and make sure that people are aware. We're trying to develop, not trying, we are developing an awareness program, awareness campaign, so that people will know about scams and about victimization of all kinds. And the fact that it's possible to be victimized by your family members, very possible. In fact, that's quite common.
Now, you mentioned the center. If a person wanted to go to court and had some of these issues but couldn't afford a lawyer, are there places that they can go to find legal assistance?
Oh, sure. I may want to back up just a little bit.
Sure.
What when we first created the Elder Law and Miscellaneous Remedies Division, we started off with a work group, and this work group, Carrie was part of that work
That's
group.
what I thought,
Along
yes.
with about 15 other organizations and individuals. We had elder law practitioners such as Carrie Pack, Ellen Douglas, Geraldine Simmons. We also had the public guardian involved, the state's attorney, the public defender, the Chicago Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, the Probation Department. And together, all of these individuals and organizations got together with a common goal in mind to protect older adults from some of the ills of what goes on in Cook County and throughout the nation. But we also later on developed what is called a task force. And that task force have been working together, and Carrie is also part of that task force, in order to make sure the task force has have Legal Assistance Foundation, the CVLS, and a number of other legal organizations that are working along with us. The LAF, CEDAW, CVLS, all of those organizations and legal organizations have agreed to be available and to give us direct access. So at our Elder Justice Center, we have law students from the area law schools that are available to counsel and give out legal information to older adults who would come in to seek advice. We also have supervising attorneys, and these are attorneys from the Chicago Bar Association, the Cook County Bar Association, and all the other bar associations, and just private attorneys who are willing to give up 3 or 4 hours of their time weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. And so we are staffed. It's this Elder Justice Center is volunteer driven.
So there's no cost to
There's no cost. This is a free
senior.
service, and because of lawyers are sometimes they're bashed, and they're said to just want money. But these are wonderful volunteers that are working along with the Elder Justice Center and the court to accommodate older adults, and they're very passionate about it.
Carrie, you were involved in forming the elder law courts. Has it met up to your expectations in terms of what is accomplished so far?
Well, I think the answer is resoundingly yes, and I think that Judge Banks had the opportunity to go out and see the existing specialty courts that are around the country, and they're very few, as well as an opportunity to visit the Elder Justice Center down in Florida. And I think she kind of cherry-picked the good ideas and brought back the best. And yeah, we're off to a running start here. I think that it's a terrific addition to the circuit court.
Now, have there been other states that have done something similar? You mentioned Florida,
Yes,
Judge Banks.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to meet with a judge in Oakland, Alameda County, Judge Conger, who actually is I would say the pioneer. She actually initiated the Elder Protection Court concept. The idea was to take cases in the criminal court, any case having to do with elder abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. She asked her presiding judge of the criminal court to send all those cases to her. And so she created a little niche so that those cases were heard one day a week. And that's how it all started. And what she would also do, in addition to that, she started thinking, well, why not bring in cases of a civil nature? And because of the fact, we have 420 judges in our system.
Right.
In Alameda County, there are 75. So what she was able to do, it's a beautiful concept. She was able to reach over to the probate division and say, okay, you have a financial exploitation issue here. Why don't I just take that case, deal with it, and send it back to you? It works it works that way if you're small. Then I traveled over to Contra Costa, California, in Contra Costa County. There's a judge there by the name of Judge Cram, 40 judges in her courthouse. She is a presiding judge of 4 or 5 different divisions, so therefore family law, probate, county, having to do with mental health. So she was able to say, okay, one day a week on Tuesday, I'm going to handle cases involving older adults. And she would then just take one hat off and put another one on. And it would be a vertical treatment of the cases having to do with elder law issues. Because we are so large, and because we have 16 divisions in the Circuit Court of Cook County, it's not as easy to make that all happen. But with the support of all the bar associations and the lawyers throughout the system, and I have a Judicial Advisory Council also, that's working. That will work. But it takes a little bit longer because we need coding and transfer rules and regulations to make sure that it doesn't become chaotic.
I know Carrie mentioned this earlier, but we are the largest circuit court in the country, and so there's a lot of moving parts.
Exactly.
Are the judges specially trained in this area that are on this call?
Yes, we have actually provided training to the judges who will be part of my division and who are currently part of the division. 3 of the judges over at the criminal court, of course, they already have substantial expertise in criminal law, but we've carved out another little niche for them, and we provided special training on abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. Over in the criminal court, where Judge Bebo is the presiding judge, there are 3 judges who handle only abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation cases. When I say they handle only cases, I misspoke. All of the elder abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation cases are assigned to them.
I
And
see.
so they're developing more expertise. Since March, when we first started sending cases to those judges, I think we have over 100 cases being handled just by those judges now.
Interesting. Carrie, I know that one of the issues that often arises with an older person is sometimes the person is unable to make decisions for themselves in terms of health-related issues or financial, and guardianships are necessary. Can you explain a little bit what that involves and how one would get a guardianship over someone who's unable to make those decisions?
Sure. Typically, the scenario arises in which an individual faces either a healthcare crisis or a financial exploitation crisis. And of course, the best way to avoid a guardianship is to do pre-planning. Today, the legal jargon is advanced directives, but it's also known as a power of attorney for healthcare or a power of attorney for property. And so if an individual, while competent, executes those 2 documents, they can avoid a guardianship, because while they're competent, they've named, if I name you, Tim, to manage my financial affairs, and I name the judge to manage my healthcare affairs, assuming I'm competent, you know, we're in good shape, and when I become less than competent, the 2 of you can manage my affairs. The necessity of a guardianship arises in which an individual has not done this pre-planning, in which an individual is more often than not cognitively impaired, and as a result, their circumstances require a third-party decision maker. And that third-party decision maker could be a family member, it could be the public guardian, it could be a private guardianship agency, or someone of that nature. Typically, a guardianship case arises, you know, in the context of someone has a problem that's come to the attention perhaps of the law enforcement officials, perhaps the attention of a hospital. When an individual is hospitalized, they're not capable of granting informed consent for a surgical procedure, something of that nature. And someone comes forward into the circuit court and seeks the appointment of a guardian. And of course, the guardianship really is a 2-pronged inquiry. You know, does the individual need a guardian? That's the person that we call in the court system an alleged disabled person. And if that individual needs a guardian, who should the guardian be? So the standard in Illinois under the Illinois Probate Act is that an individual, in order for the court to find by clear and convincing evidence, requires what's known as a plenary guardian or a full guardian. That individual must be totally incapable of making personal and or financial decisions. Personal is strictly medical, and financial is the management of all of their assets of any kind.
Is this court-type approval, Judge Banks, necessary if the person who you're seeking a guardianship over agrees to it?
An agreed guardianship?
Yes.
It's still, yeah, if a person agrees that he or she needs a guardian, and sometimes it happens, yes, it's still court supervision. But what Carrie was saying earlier, if in fact a person takes advantage of an advance directive,
Right.
then the consent takes place prior to the disability, and it's better that way. You don't end up with a sister or a brother or a cousin that you didn't quite like too much, you
Right.
know,
So if
over your affairs. So
Yes.
that's why it's a good thing for people to plan. And we have this seminar as part of our outreach programs, and it's the seminar is Senior Power, Keeping Control of Your Future. And keeping control of your future includes these preparing wills and doing estate planning and just preparing advance directives, because isn't it better for you to let people know in advance when your mind is healthy?
No, I understand that. And I guess one question I would have, and maybe either one of you can comment on it, is even if I do the pre-planning and I say I want my brother to be in charge if I have any problems handling my finances, but what if it reaches a point where he sees I'm having problems, but I resist and say, no, I'm not. I'm sure that happens many times, that the person who you're seeking the guardianship over denies that there's any need. And what happens? Is that when the court has to sort it out?
About 20, 25 years ago, Carrie and I used to serve, both of us, when I was an attorney and Carrie was a young attorney, and we both were.
I
we
still
served
do
as,
it.
We served as guardian ad litem of the probate court.
I see.
And if a person objects to a guardianship, like not me, you know, I'm on all fours, we have to go out. We would have to go out, visit, medical reports involved, and the person seeking that guardianship against that individual would have to prove that that person was not in total control of his or her environment and required a guardianship. So there's a court procedure for this, and that's handled right now in the probate court.
Okay, I think Carrie actually anticipated my next question is, what if it's a close call? But you said clear and convincing evidence, right, to establish it?
Clear and convincing evidence, and you know, the judge makes a good point. This process is really driven in large measure by medical evidence. You know, there is a statutory required and court provided form that's used in the Circuit Court of Cook County, in which a attending physician or a consulting physician completes a medical report based upon an examination that must occur of the individual within 90 days of filing the case, so that someone can't walk in with a stale report and say, you know, 6 months ago Johnny Jones was sick and today I should be his guardian. And that medical evidence is really the driving force here. And then, of course, you know, as you know, the medical system and the legal system don't always, you know, interchange very precisely.
Right.
So if it's a close call, you know, it's going to be up to the court, of course, to make the decision based upon the testimony of generally physicians, sometimes social workers, family members, individuals that have interacted with the alleged disabled person and can comment on his or her capacity to both make medical decisions or financial decisions.
And is that capacity, Judge, reviewed every so often, or is it permanent? Once you have a guardian appointed, if you feel like you're able to be more in control of yourself or your finances, can that be reviewed again?
There's a petition to terminate guardianship, because sometimes a guardianship might occur because a person may have taken medication that sort of altered their functioning, okay? And so there are various reasons why a person might need a guardianship. I remember a long time ago, anecdotal, good friend of mine had an aneurysm, and her daughter called me after she had her surgery, and she was all confused and things just weren't going that well. She said, I got to go to court and get mom a guardianship over mom. But after a couple of months, mom came back. But so it's possible to terminate a guardianship. It's very difficult to have it terminated, but in situations where it might just be that problem. The Elder Law and Miscellaneous Remedies Division may also be a vehicle by which people who might just need placement or might need a little help in getting their affairs organized. Every case does not necessarily lead to a guardianship. A person might be impaired, but if there's another way of allowing that person to maintain his or her dignity and not lose all your rights
But
with the
that's a good
guardianship.
point. So people could seek out help without necessarily giving up control. I mean, they're something short of a guardianship if they just need assistance.
Right. You're trying to, what you want to do is make sure that person is safe and not at risk. And so hopefully this elder law division and its components will be an alternative in some instances to guardianships, because again, you lose all your rights and privileges.
So those of us that are baby boomers, and we're going to be increasing in numbers.
That's correct.
Do you see the workload of this division increasing as well? Will you need more judges and more personnel at some point?
Oh, absolutely, because we have a very, very busy court system in our landlord-tenant division and in our just in different courts in our system, high volume, and the judges really want to just preside over the case. They're not really trying to be social engineers or to think in terms of past. They don't want to think. A lot of them are not willing to think past. Did you pay your rent, ma'am? Now, if there's some other side underlying issues, they would prefer that that matter be shifted.
Right.
And it provides for more efficiency in the courthouse in order for the judge to avoid getting off the bench and playing social worker, when in fact there is a division and there is an elder justice center and an opportunity for that person, that older adult, to be serviced further.
For those who may be in need of these services, is there a website they can turn to now to find out more information?
Absolutely. There is a website and there's also a phone number.
Very good.
If I might give you the phone
Yes,
number.
please, please.
It's 312-603-9233.
603-9233. Thank you very much, Judge Patricia Banks and Carrie Peck. Thank you for educating us about the important decisions confronting the elderly and legal options we have. I'm Tim Eaton. Thank you for watching the Chicago Bar Association's Justice and Law Weekly.
Closed captioning for Justice and Law Weekly is provided in part by the Clifford Law Offices in support of quality public television for the Chicago area.